I'm gonna make this as quick as possible because I know what I'm about to talk about has absolutely nothing to do with video games or computers or any tech stuff. Um, but playing video games isn't the only thing I do in my spare time. I also watch TV, and one of my favorite TV channels is the History Channel, where I can watch Pawn Stars, American Pickers, Ancient Aliens, stuff like that. Really cool, interesting stuff, addicting things to watch. Anyway, there was a new miniseries that just ended called Texas Rising about the following the events of the Alamo, um, which I don't really know too much about, admittingly. So I can't really understand what's really going on uh, unless I actually know a lot about it. But anyway, Texas Rising. It was pretty entertaining. Um, it had it had a lot of really good battles. They were bloody. They were realistic, but they weren't like they weren't like gory as in like Saving Private Ryan gory or any of that. But uh, there was it was good. I mean, it was the miniseries itself wasn't really that great, to be honest, but it was a pretty entertaining series. The production design, the costumes, they all look pretty accurate to the 1830s. Um, the acting was the acting was pretty solid. The problem I have with this though is that in the commercials leading up to the miniseries, they had like promos about like Texas Rising, starring Brendan Fraser and Ray Liotta. And when you watch it, they clearly aren't the main characters. Okay, they just like put in like the two most most famous actors on the show in the commercials to get more viewers, and that's misleading. And I don't like it when they do that. The main actor is Bill Paxton. Uh, he was not too unpopular. I mean, people know who he is. He's Bill Paxton. He was in Aliens. He played a bit role in Terminator. Uh, he was in Titanic. He was in Twister. He was in True Lies. He's actually in a lot of stuff. Bill Paxton, and he was completely ignored in the commercials, or at least from what I remember. Um, and that is just wrong. So yeah, fuck the commercials. Um, on the whole lead role and who appears in what, because Ray Liotta isn't really in there for that long, but he is, in my opinion, easily the best character on the show. He's the most interesting character. He's a badass. He's a deserter. He's not even on either side. He's not on the Mexican side, nor is on the rebellion side. Although he does like killing Mexicans for what they did to his family. Um, he kills so many people in this show. My God, he is a fucking badass. He's not a good guy. Like he's kind of a bad guy, but like he's just so badass that you just like root for him throughout the entire miniseries. Um, so he's really cool. Unfortunately, most of the characters are really unmemorable and completely uninteresting. Their acting is good, but their characters just don't really bring anything to the table, you know. Uh, um, in a way, it was kind of disappointing. Um, and a lot of the dialogue was kind of cliche. It had a lot of cliche elements to it that kind of turned me off. Like, oh, really? Yeah. We have a guy who's stealing gold and trying to run away from the rebellion, and yeah, that was Jeremy Davies, by the way. He was in Saving Private Ryan. He always plays a coward, I guess. I don't know. Um, it's just the story, like I said, is kind of confusing unless you actually know about the 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 fucking War of 1830. You see, it's just a it's a war that we don't really teach in schools, you know. We teach the American Revolution, the Civil War, World War II, and like that. Basically, those are like the three wars that they touch upon most. They don't really talk about this particular war or World War One or the Korean War and stuff like that. So it's hard to get involved in the story if you have nothing to really go on uh, in terms of what you know prior to watching the series on something that is kind of is non-fictional. Plus, I think there might be a few scenes that are inaccurate to what happened, so that just makes things even worse. Let's find out online. Yeah, there's quite a bit of historical inaccuracies. But I think that's just because of for the sake of pacing to keep things entertaining and not boring. You know, after all, this is a series and not a documentary. If there was a documentary, everything would be true. Uh, so yeah. And lastly, there's not much lasting appeal to it. You watch it once and then you probably never want to watch it ever again. So that's not good. Um, and it's just it's not it's a pretty forgettable series, um, unfortunately. But overall, I thought it was okay. Um, it has a really low user rating on Metacritic. It has like a 2.0 user rating or something ridiculous. People keep giving it zeros, ones, and twos, and I think that is a little either they're being trolls or they just really hate it. But I really don't see how it's that bad. I mean, I was able to get through all five of the 2 hour long episodes. You know, it was like 10 hours long, 8 hours without the commercials, but it had commercials in it. Uh, Um, I didn't think it was that bad, but it wasn't that good either. You know, my final score for it would probably be a 6 out of 10. Um, so yeah. Thank you for watching. The Gamer Gods! Bam!